Autobots. Most people think the Autobots were born as soldiers. They were not. They started as workers, miners, engineers, regular people at the bottom of a system that told them to stay there. The war came to them. They did not go looking for it. What makes the Autobots different is not their weapons. It is what they believe. They fight to protect life. All life, not just their own. They believe everyone deserves freedom. Most factions fight for power or control, but the Autobots fight for an idea. That makes them the hardest faction to destroy. Because you can kill soldiers, but you cannot kill an idea. Optimus Prime leads them in every film. Patient, powerful, and completely willing to sacrifice himself if that is what it takes. Their vehicles are civilian, trucks, cars, emergency vehicles. On paper that sounds like a losing lineup, but that is also the point. They were never built to conquer. They were built to protect. Across every film, that is exactly what they do. And the faction hunting them across every single movie started from that exact same place. This one detail makes the whole war feel different. Decepticons. The Decepticons did not start as the bad guys. They started as a movement. Cybertron had a system. Your role was decided at birth. Your place was fixed. If you were at the bottom, you stayed there. Megatron looked at that system and decided it was wrong. He built a following. And somewhere between the first speech and the first battle, a fight for rights became a war for domination. By the time we meet them in the films, none of that history matters anymore. What is left is one rule. Power is everything. The strong take, and the weak serve. Their vehicles say it all. Fighter jets, tanks, attack helicopters. There is no Decepticon ambulance. The faction became exactly what it decided to be. Megatron leads them, calculating, ruthless, and absolutely certain he is right. When Unicron rebuilds him, he becomes Galvatron. Same hunger, but with considerably worse patience. Starscream stays close, schemes constantly, and never quite manages to finish what he starts. Some things never change across any version of this franchise. Those are the two sides everyone knows. But the movies introduced factions that do not fit neatly on either side. Starting with one that is technically Autobot, but operates by completely different rules. Dinobots. The Dinobots are ancient. They were on Earth long before Optimus Prime ever arrived. Long before any human ever looked up at the sky. They are not Autobots by choice. They do not follow orders by default. They are their own thing entirely, and the films make that clear from the moment they appear. Grimlock leads them. A mechanical T-Rex the size of a building with no interest in anyone's war unless he decides it is worth his time. The rest follow. A Triceratops, a Pterosaur, a Spinosaurus, a Velociraptor. All of them ancient. All of them powerful beyond almost anything else on the battlefield. In Age of Extinction, Optimus does not recruit the Dinobots. He fights Grimlock first, beats him, and earns the right to lead them through combat rather than rank. That is the only leadership the Dinobots have ever respected. Not titles, not speeches. Proof. They are not heroes in the traditional sense. They are a force of nature that happen to point in the right direction. The Dinobots fight for no one but themselves. But the next faction fights for an entirely different reason. Maximals. The Maximals show up in Rise of the Beasts, and they represent something the other factions do not. Legacy. Continuity. The idea that the Autobot mission did not begin with Optimus Prime and will not end with him either. They are ancient Cybertronians who chose animal forms as their alt modes. Not vehicles. Not weapons. Animals. A gorilla. A cheetah. An eagle. An arachnid. Each one built around speed, instinct, and survival rather than firepower. Optimus Primal leads them. He is not Optimus Prime. That distinction matters. He took the name as a tribute, the way a soldier might name themselves after a legend they grew up believing in. He carries the same values, the same commitment to protecting life above everything else. But he is his own character, operating in his own era, fighting his own war. The Maximals have been hiding on Earth for centuries by the time Rise of the Beast begins, waiting, protecting the transwarp key from falling into the wrong hands. They are patient in a way most Autobots are not. They have had a long time to practice. The Maximals have been protecting Earth from a threat most factions never see coming. The Terrorcons exist entirely to serve that threat. Terrorcons. The Terrorcons are not a faction with an ideology. They do not have a cause or a code. They exist for one purpose: to serve Unicron, to hunt the transwarp key, to consume whatever gets in the way. Scourge leads them in Rise of the Beasts. He is not loud about it. He does not make speeches. He is cold, efficient, and completely without mercy. Every Terrorcon under his command operates the same way. They do not argue. They do not scheme. They execute. Their design says everything: dark, industrial, demonic. Nothing about them suggests a faction that was ever something else. They were built for this specific job, and nothing about them has ever been pointed in a different direction. What makes them genuinely threatening is the same thing that makes Unicron threatening. They do not want to win the war. They want to end everything. That is a different kind of enemy entirely. The Terrorcons serve a cosmic force of destruction. The next faction serves nobody, and that is exactly how they prefer it. Mercenaries. The Mercenaries are the faction that refuses to pick a side. They are not Autobots. They are not Decepticons. They fight for whoever pays, whoever offers the best deal, whoever needs something done that nobody else will do. They appear most directly in the Age of Extinction era, and they represent something important about the Transformers universe that the main factions never quite acknowledge. Not every Cybertronian cares about the war. Not every robot that survived the journey to Earth has any interest in Autobot ideals or Decepticon ambitions. Some of them just want to survive. Some of them just want to get paid. Double Dealer is the defining example across the broader lore, a Transformer engineered to switch allegiance on demand, presenting as Autobot to one client and Decepticon to another simultaneously. The Mercenaries exist to remind you that the conflict was never a clean binary. For a significant part of the population, survival always mattered more than ideology. The Mercenaries chose to stay out of the war entirely. The next faction predates the war by thousands of years, and started it without anyone realizing. Knights of Cybertron. The Knights are ancient, older than the war, older than almost anything else in the film continuity. They were the original guardians of Cybertron, a legendary order of Transformers who left the planet long before the Autobot-Decepticon conflict ever began, carrying with them knowledge and power that neither faction ever fully understood. In The Last Knight, they are the connection between Cybertron and Earth across thousands of years of hidden history. Merlin, King Arthur. The story of Earth is tangled up with the story of Cybertron in ways that go back further than any human civilization. The Knights are the thread running through all of it. They are not straightforwardly heroic. They are ancient and complicated, and operating on a logic that does not map cleanly onto the Autobot-Decepticon framework. They predate that framework entirely. What they represent is the part of Cybertronian history that happened before the war, and the question of whether any of what was lost in that war can ever actually be recovered. The Knights represent Cybertron's ancient past. The last faction on this list represents something even older than that. The force that created the Transformers in the first place, and has been trying to reclaim them ever since. Quintessons. The Quintessons are the answer to a question most people never think to ask. Where did the Transformers actually come from? Not Primus, not some ancient heroic civilization, but alien imperialists who decided an entire planet of living beings was theirs to control. In Transformers 1, the Quintessons are the overarching villain faction behind everything. They controlled Cybertron long before Optimus and Megatron ever existed. They stripped Cybertronians of their transformation cogs and put them to work mining energon. Not as soldiers, not as weapons, but as labor. Their ships patrol the surface. Their demands never stop. And the most disturbing part is not their power. It's their perspective. They do not see the Autobots and Decepticons as heroes and villains locked in an ancient war. They see malfunctioning inventory and products that got ideas above their station. The entire history of the Transformers universe is, from the Quintesson point of view, a customer service problem that got out of hand.